So, examining this document a little further, the first thing that I think you'll notice is up on top here. Um, this right here is not actually a tag. Notice all the tags are in blue. This is actually a declaration, the doc type declaration. And what this is doing is it's telling the browser what version and therefore what syntax the document will be using. So you do need to have this up on top. This is, of course, declaring this as an HTML5 document. The next tag down that you see here is an HTML tag. And just like we saw in the past video how we had a opening tag for title and then a closing tag, we have the same thing with the HTML. So we have the HTML opening tag here, and then we have the other one down here. Now, did you notice how that one lit up? That's a really nice thing here. If you double click on a tag, the other tag that closes it will highlight for a minute, and when you have a lot of code, that becomes pretty helpful. So that's a nice little thing to note there. So let's go ahead. You know what? I think maybe it'd be a little easier if I just deleted everything inside of here for a second. Okay, so there we have a opening and closing HTML tag. This identifies that everything within is going to be HTML. And the first thing that I'm going to do is add an attribute. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to absolutely identify this as an English HTML document. There's some, you know, it's a really good practice to do that. Of course, we're going to be writing in English, and if you can read English, then you're going to know right away this is English. However, it's good to actually let the browser know what language you're in. It's a really good practice. For one reason that it's a good practice is for screen readers. For example, in different languages, characters are actually pronounced differently, right? And so by identifying this as English, screen readers will know what it is that they're reading. And so how we do that is you type in lang equals, okay, quotation mark, en, quotation mark, okay? And that's it. Now, we're going to go through everything together. So if you're like, I don't know what a lang is, or how did you know what lang is, or anything like that, we're just going to slowly work through the basics of this. So don't worry. By the time you're done with this week's lesson, you're going to be able to code a basic, very, very, very basic web page. And that's all we really need to know to move on with our CMS for now. Next week we'll look at CSS, and then when we dive into Joomla a little bit and start to actually format text and whatnot, a lot of this is going to come into play, and it's going to be important to know how HTML code works. So we're just really going over the basics. So, and of course, if you ever see anything you're not quite sure what it is and you just want to know exactly what this attribute is, go to the W3 schools and just throw any element or any attribute, anything that you see on here into their website in the search, and just, you can look up the definition, no problem. Okay, so moving on from here, we have the attribute. The next thing that we want to actually put in is the head. Now, the head, for the most part, contains, well, mainly invisible content. It's stuff that won't be displayed on your web page except for the title. We can do that and actually throw a title in there, but other than that, it's just information about the document. You can put references to scripts and different styles in there. We'll get into that more later, but you can also any instructions that you want to throw in there for the browser, such as just anything that will tell it how to render. Let's see, what else can you throw into the head that's useful? A description for web browsers when they're indexing the site. Like a description of that website, things like that. So it's information that's not part of what you're actually going to be displaying on your web page. So let's go ahead and throw a head in right now. So we do that with the same left. See how it just threw it right up there for us instantly? But anyway, I'll type it in there. But left angle bracket, head, right angle bracket. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter a couple times, and I'm going to close that head by doing the left angle bracket / head and right angle bracket. Now, anything that we put inside of that head, or any content that we put inside of here, will be part of the head, but it's still wrapped inside of the HTML tag as well. Okay, so what kind of stuff should we put into the head of this document? Well, I'm going to put in a meta tag next. Now, most tags you have to add a closing tag to. This is one of the very few exceptions right here, and that is the meta tag. and I'm going to go ahead and throw in a meta tag, and instead of closing it right here, I'm going to leave it open, and I'm going to type car set. Okay, see how that popped up right away? It just knows that that's going to go in there. Now, as far as these attributes go, don't worry. This is really the only extra attributes here. That's the maroon attributes that we're going to use. So don't worry. Don't feel like you need to build this giant vocabulary right now of all these different, shortened words like lang for language and car set for character set. And we're just doing these a couple right here, and these ones are like the very common ones that you're gonna need. Okay, and so what we're doing is we're telling the browser what character set to use. And what we're going to use is the UTF-8. And so just like we did up here, we're going to have the quotes, and then we're going to put in UTF-8, and then a quotation mark, and then right angle bracket. We don't have to close this tag. We're just going to leave it like that. What is this crazy thing anyway? It's a character set, okay? Now, most browsers by default are going to use this character set anyway, so if we don't put that in there, it's going to still render. That's going to be okay. But we put it in there because it's a good practice internationally, because not all languages will use the same character set.